Made them all color, different colors for color television, and made 6 feathers. And when we made a test, hardly anybody thought that any changes had been made. So much for the people who think that graphic design is important. It's not necessarily. Showtime is a big cable television network. The nice thing about this is that the spotlight is on show, not S-H-O-W, but S-H-O. And that's because they have a 3-letter system for marking the programs they're on. So you get a simple show with half of the row is outside the circle. I was always very pleased with that. This is another television channel. This one is the Spanish, one of the 2 Spanish speaking channels of television in the United States, Univision. This is what it is. And it's very important because in I think it's only 15 or 20 years, Spanish will be half of the language in America. Half, only 15 or 20 years. It's interesting. So this station will become more important. And there are only 2 out of all of them that are Spanish speaking. This is the merger of 2 publishers. One in England, one in Harper and Row in New York, and it's Harper, so it made Harper Collins, and it's a big publishing house. This is Merck, pharmaceutical company, so it's a pill kind of thing. But it's all over the place, and it has to be very simple because it goes on very, very small things. My ad is an art school like yours in Milwaukee. It's the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and they call themselves My Ad. It's also a very good school. Probably not as good as Elisava, but it's a good school. This is the Boeing 747 on the inaugural flight from New York to Paris. This was the menu covers for the inaugural flight of the Boeing 747. This is Nisei. You wouldn't probably ever see this, but it's the biggest insurance company in Japan. And they have a history of making very nice marks for, I don't know, 1,000 years. They've been making them, boxes, they call them, they have symbols. So that this is used by them. This is Black Sheep, is my brother-in-law. So he didn't get paid. He makes cheese out of sheep's milk. Because he can't help but do things like that. He's actually a businessman, but his real joy in life is to drive around and herd sheep. So this is Shinsegai. It's in Korea. It's a department store, big department store in many major cities in Korea. And the packaging, including Korean lettering that says Shinsegai, was done not too long ago. I mentioned to you that I just came from Istanbul. I've been going to Istanbul for since 1971, twice a year. And this Koç, which means ram in Turkish, is the biggest company now. It wasn't when I started. It's now the biggest company in Turkey of 122 enormous companies. They make automobiles, refrigerators, television sets, banks, hospitals, everything you can think of, including this one, Opet, is a gas station chain that they have. And this is all the graphics that have made for them. And since they did that, they've gone, because the Turkish people are very chauvinistic, they like things to be Turkish if possible, so they have gone from 17% of the market to 34% of the market in 2 years, which is quite amazing. It's another Turkish company, Arçelik. Arçelik means rolled steel, that's what that little symbol means, and made a special alphabet for it. And we did this because they didn't understand that only women decide about refrigerators and stoves, not old men. So that's what we changed it to make it a little more relaxed than what they had. And I won't show you what they did have. Another Turkish company is liquid petroleum gas, and they are also all over the major cities of Turkey, and control that business. Here, it's called the Ring of Fire. It's a symbol of an aquarium in that part of the world, in Japan. It's in Osaka, where I made a mural. This is just half of it. And these are little tiny tiles. The important thing about it is that not so much the symbol, but that I made a notebook, and each page of the notebook was the day's work of 13 men who took 3 months to put down these tiles, because this is 5 stories high and 300 feet wide. So it was a big task. And another aquarium in Lisbon, Portugal, and there, again, enormous tile wall ran through 280 feet or something like that. Very, very tall. And what I did was to have all of the fish in the aquarium, the major fish, pixelated with a computer to between solid blue and in degrees of 10, so that all these tiles, then when you follow the instructions of the computer, make this fish like that big shark that you saw. And every one of these is calibrated so that it reads as a photograph from a distance. It was, again, these are all hand-painted, and they're 54,000. So it took a long time for them to do it. I didn't have to watch, I'm glad to say. This is a street address this big